I am thrilled to share with you a lovely email that I received just the end of yesterday from someone that I've never met before. Here. Her name is Amy, and I think she's based in New Jersey for some reason. I don't know why I think. Oh, no, she's based in Middleburg, Virginia. She says, "Dear Rabbi Vigler, thank you for posting your wonderful videos to YouTube. I absolutely love them and learn so much from you. I listen to your videos when I'm cooking, driving, working on projects, and when I have a block of time to sit and learn. I also enjoy learning Tanya from you. I particularly like to listen before I fall asleep. I find this helps me unwind and alleviate anxiety. I was wondering if I could purchase the videos from your Booksmart course, whatever. Thanks again." Just such a lovely feedback to know that what we're doing right here as a group is influencing way beyond this round table, where we are able to impact a woman in Middleburg, Virginia. We've spoken about this other lady in France somewhere.
Horse country. I used to hang out in Middleburg.
Amazing. So, Amy, to you, when you hear this while you're cooking or before you're falling asleep, I am grateful for your email and would love to connect with you. Send me the email. Send me your questions, comments, critique, and responses so we can talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Today we are learning this book over here. It's called Hasidic Discourses. It's a new module that we've started to study here. I'm taking a little break from Tanya as I'm modifying a little bit on Tuesdays and Thursdays because this is just magnificent stuff. Tanya is by the first Chabad Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi. He happens to be my great-grandfather 8 generations ago, maybe 9 generations ago. But the 6th Rebbe, there were 7 Rebbes of Chabad. Our Rebbe is the 7th. The 6th Rebbe, the father-in-law of our Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, whose yahrzeit is on Thursday. He passed away this week, 29 years ago. His father-in-law was the one who brought Chabad to America. And that was Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. He has a photo of him. He was terribly abused and hunted down by the Soviets, the communists. And he came to America. He was like, crippled from the torture that they put him through. But he was alive, and he kept the movement not just surviving, but actually thriving. The courage of this man is beyond description. He stood up to the mighty communist empire, and he kept Judaism alive, where he was enemy number 1 of the communists, okay? And what we're learning now is the discourses that he taught in 1941, 42, and 43. These are short discourses because they were at the most painful time of recent Jewish history. Think about this. Where were we in 1941, 42, 43? I think it was 40. The years 41 through 45. This discourse we're learning now was right around 1943. And I mean, how could you even focus? How could anybody even
have hope?
Where hope, strength? I mean, Judaism was like a flame that was on the border of extinction, on the brink of extinction. And it's these discourses that infused life, direction, purpose, vitality, enthusiasm into a nation that was on the brink of extinction, battered, bruised, and broken. I've said in previous classes. In Russia, they were torturing our souls, because in Russia, it was the schools that they prohibited. It was Jewish education. In Europe, they were torturing our bodies. They were burning us, in the crematorium. In America, it was our culture that was being sucked or thrown down the drain because the assimilation, the peer pressure. I mean, we were being attacked on all fronts. And it's these discourses that represent the message of survival. It behooves us to learn these discourses, to breathe life into our own spiritual journeys as well. Okay? So just to quickly summarize.
It's interesting how our Rebbe is always so joyous, so uplifting. And obviously, his father-in-law had a horrible existence. And you see the pain in his face.
I caution you from assessing the personality of the previous Rebbe based on this photograph.
No, of course.
He was serious, but he actually was extremely joyous.
Oh, okay.
When you read his writings, his letters are overflowing with emotion. He wouldn't write "Dear Marty," he would say, "To my esteemed, honorable, distinguished, respectful friend, cherished of my soul." I mean, the way he wrote and spoke was extremely overflowing with emotion. So I caution you
Dignity,
from making such
dignity.
observations based on a photograph. Okay. So we're holding at the bottom of page 26 in this book, Hasidic Discourses, 226. And if Winston is here, if you could please post the link. There is you could follow online. I'm going to try to post the link. I'm going to try to post it right now into the comments here. Okay, here it is. Discourse 27. We're going to find a quick way to post this. We don't have to waste any time when we do this. I'm going to post it into the comments of YouTube so you can follow along. We're in Discourse number 27. We're in section 2. What we said so far, folks, we asked a question just to bring you up to speed, okay?
Sure,
So we said like this. We said that if somebody calls Abraham by his original name, Abraham's original name was Avram. Your father was Abraham, right? His original name was Avram, and God changed his name to Abraham. Okay, it's an interesting story in Torah. Next, Jacob. We all know about Jacob. Our three patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was changed by God, actually by an angel, and then later by God, from Jacob to Yisrael. Fantastic. Nice and easy. Problem is that we find that the Torah says, the Talmud says, anyone who calls Avraham his previous name is a sinner.
Sinner.
He who calls Avraham by the name Avram transgresses the verse. You will no longer be called Avram. It's a transgression. You're not allowed to do it. Yet the Torah itself, when it comes to Jacob, continues to call him Jacob after his name was changed to Israel. The question is obvious. What's the difference? What's the difference? Now, this is a piece of Torah. It seems distant, removed from our personal lives, right? It seems like it's distant and removed. It's not relevant to our personal lives. But wait a few moments and you'll discover the intensity of the personal relevance of this fascinating question, okay? What we're going to explain is as follows. I'm going to first explain this in my own words before we do it inside. When God changes a name, it's not just a random, flavor of the day. It's not just just had a change of heart. Why would God change somebody's name? Now, we did speak in the previous class about the significance of your Hebrew name, and you'd have to listen to the previous class to see that if you missed it. How your name is the code for your personality and your character. You missed that one? You think you missed that one? Yeah, you read that class?
No, I don't think so.
So it's fascinating. You should watch the video. I spent a long time talking about the significance of your Hebrew name. How your Hebrew name is not just a random arbitrary selection of letters. We have, my English name is Peter. My Hebrew name is Paskuniak. It's not like a random arbitrary social consensus. The very letters of your Hebrew name is the code through which you receive your channeling your divine nurture. Now,
It's like a mini prophecy.
right, and parents receive a miniature form of prophecy when they name their child. Now, when it comes to Stacy, good morning. Would you mind closing the door behind you because it's a little noisy there? Thank you. So, when it comes to God changing somebody's name, it's shocking. Why would God change somebody's name? What, God didn't know the channel, the destiny of this person? When we name a child, unbeknownst to ourselves, it's a miniature form of prophecy. It's an unconscious form of prophecy. What we're doing is that the parents sense the destiny of that child. And that's why you're drawn towards the name Jonathan and not David, or Shaul and not Pinchas, or Abraham and not Yitzchak. You're drawn to, without even understanding this, your soul senses the destiny of the child and you pick that name. That's why parents are drawn towards certain names, and that's why parents are not supposed to interfere. Grandparents are not supposed to interfere with naming the child. That's the reason that we don't announce the name until the bris, because we don't do a survey, a public survey on what the name should be. No. We announce it at the bris, one and done. It's too late. You can't change it anymore, right? Because otherwise it becomes like a cholent. Too many cooks spoil the broth, right? So when God changes a name, it's raising eyebrows. Why would he change the name? If the destiny was known by God, he got the name in the first place. That's very nice. Why would he need to change the name?
Change the destiny.
So it manifests the change of the destiny. Now, in the literal sense of the reading of the Torah, the Bible, and I highly encourage you to read the Bible if you haven't done so. Here it is. The 5 books of Moses. We do it every Saturday, every Shabbos in Shul. We come to Shul, we read the whole Torah portion. I encourage you to sit and read it in English. And in fact, 7 days of the week represent the 7 aliyahs, right? So on the Sunday, you're supposed to read the first aliyah of this week's Torah reading. On Monday, you're supposed to read the second aliyah of this week's Torah reading. And that's why by Shabbos, you're up to number 7 and you cover the whole Torah in 1 year, right? It's amazing. Where I'm going with this is that, according to the literal reading of the verse, the reason why God changed Avram's name was because Avram was already 98 years old. And God had promised him a child. And he says, God, listen, I appreciate you promised me of a child, but, I've looked in the stars. I've checked in the astrology, and I see that in the stars, I ain't having no child. It says astrology is a real thing if you know how to use it. I recently gave a class about that. If you want to listen to it, it's called Supernatural. So God says, okay, Avram cannot have a child, but Avraham can. You're looking in the wrong account. You're pulling up the wrong file, the wrong social security number. If I change your social security number, it's got a whole different file associated to it. So when God changed his name, it was because he was giving him the ability to be fertile. Just like when we have someone who's very, very ill and we add a name to them to channel them with further health. In the same way, God gives Avram an extra hey. And by the way, his wife Sarai, also her name was changed to Sarah. We're not talking about Sarai in this discourse. That's for another discourse. Now, that's on a literal level of interpretation. But what Chassidus is going to tell us, we're going to take it to a whole new level. What Chassidus is about to explain to us is that there's much deeper significance to the name change of Avram than meets the eye. You see, in Hebrew, every letter is a number as well. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled. You're familiar with the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, right? Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel 3, Daled 4, all the way through to the end of the alphabet where the numbers add up. The last number is 400. Taf is 400. Not that there's 400 letters, but they got different number values. My name is Dovid, for example, right? Dovid is my first name. So Daled is 4, Vav is 6, and Daled is 4. So that's 4 plus 6 plus 4 is 14. So there's a numerical value to my first name, Dovid. Right? You have a name Tzvi, right? Your name is my second name. Tzvi is 90 plus 2 plus 6. That's 98. So you're 98, but me, I'm Dovid Tzvi.
What's the significance of the number?
Hold on. So I'm 14 plus 98, so I'm already 112. You're 98, right? Because I got 2 names, you got 1 name. But then add your father's name, Ben Avraham Nachman Shimshon. My father's got 3 names. I'm way out there, right? You have 3 names?
Gil, Shalom, Aaron. Don't ask.
When we quoted the Torah, you never told us that. We call him the wrong guy.
Gil,
You say Gil Ben Pinchas.
Ben Pinchas.
You're Gil Shalom Aharon Ben Pinchas.
Oh,
Dude, we got to do it over again. We missed you. Yeah, go back up there. Seriously. What are you not telling me your full name? What are you hiding from us, you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, remember, your Hebrew name, you have to understand. That's why you learn in this discourse. Your Hebrew name is your channeling of your blessing. You're coming up to the Torah. You need to know that we're sending the blessing to the right place. If you're not giving me a full name, how do you know it's going to come to you?
I didn't know the middle name counts. So,
Oh, now you know.
I know. Yeah.
Now you know.
So I don't use
Right?
my father's middle name.
Avram Label. You do use Avram Label. Meir Zalman ben Avram Label. I use your father's middle name. I don't know about you, but I do.
Label.
Avram Label. Yeah, label, same thing.
Whatever.
It's a form of endearment. It's the same thing. So what Chassidus is about to explain to us is that there's a magnificent significance to the numerical value of the name change. You see, Avram, do the math with me. Any accountants here? Any forensic accountants? No? Count with me. Aleph is 1. Bet is 2. So add them up, okay? Reish is 200.
23.
Mem is 40.
243.
243. Got to teach you here. Good. Okay. 243. 243. Now, what's the significance of 243? 243. 243 is 5 less than 248. What's the significance of 248? 248 is the amount of organs that you have in your human body. When we do a Mishaberach blessing for healing, we say, for his 248 organs and 365 veins and sinews. By the way, we don't say the same blessing for a woman. We don't say for a woman 248 veins and organs and 365 veins and sinews, because guess why? They have different amount of organs. I don't know exactly how many organs a woman has. It's a little more, a little less, but they got some different hardware, right? What? I think it's a little less. What?
Oh, I was going to expect.
more, but neglect.
Well, you'll see in a second why I'm saying that. Because we have 248 organs in our body. By the way, there are 248 positive mitzvahs as well. And there's a connection to that. Action mitzvahs 248. And how many passive mitzvahs are there? Mitzvahs that you're not allowed to do, like don't murder, don't kill, don't steal. 365. Just interesting correlation with the human body and the construct of Torah, of mitzvahs in the world, right? Now, 248 is the amount of organs in the human body. Avram, the first Jew, was able to serve God by perfecting his 243 organs. Because there were 5 organs with which he was not able to serve God wholly. W-H-O-L-L-Y. What were the 5 organs which he couldn't control in his service of God? 2 eyes, couldn't control what he saw. 2 ears, couldn't control what he heard. And the male organ. These are 5 organs that are particularly difficult to control. Your mouth, for example, it is possible to control what comes out of your mouth. You know that, right? Most people are not aware of this. Yes, but it is actually possible. I mean, imagine living in such a state of higher consciousness where you only say things that you want to say. Can you imagine living like that, Matt? Can you imagine living with someone, like married to someone, that only says words that they want to say? They never put their foot in their mouth. It's an amazing place to be. Wouldn't you want to be that person? This is Avram. Avram, whose numerical value is 243. His father, his idol-worshipping father, Terach, if you read the story in the Torah, named him Avram without even realizing the miniature form of prophecy. You asked me the significance of 98. I don't know the answer because I'm not a Kabbalist. But I'm going to tell you what Chassidus tells us about Avram. His father didn't realize the miniature form of prophecy that he had when he named his son Avram because he was destined to perfect his 243 organs. This is a person who's refined. This is a person who is conscious and aware. His hands didn't do things that he didn't approve of. His feet didn't take him to places that he didn't want to go. But his male organ, his eyes and his ears, problem. You had a problem with that, right? A little out of control. Not too shabby. How many organs are in your control? Don't answer me.
Okay. Work in progress.
That's a work in progress. As long as today is a little more than yesterday, we're good, right?
One organ at a time.
Work on the pancreas right now. Okay.
Right, exactly.
So point being that this is a person that's self-mastery. You're talking about this is to understand the meaning of self-mastery, right? Comes God and he tells them, I am going to be adding a letter to your name. Which letter? Wasn't a random letter. Which letter does he give him? What's the numerical value of Hey? Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. 5. What is the significance of adding 5 to 243?
248.
Now Avram became the perfect master of self. Do you see the significance of what's going on over here? This is incredible stuff. We have a newfound respect for Avram. It wasn't just some guy, some people that don't understand. They look at, some of the great people that came before us. They look at like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. They hear about them in the Torah. They're like, Monday morning quarterback, they did a bad job. You read the parsha, you're like, I would have never have done what they did. You don't come to their ankles, right? Their biggest mistakes are higher than your highest mitzvahs. Do you know what I mean? Right? You see what I'm saying? So, people like yesterday, they were criticizing Korach, from the weekly Torah portion. Yeah, like he's a bad guy. No. You don't come close to this guy's shoelaces. You wish your highest faculties would come to his shoelaces. It does. You got to be able to understand and appreciate who the characters and personalities of Torah are. What an incredible achievement that God says to him, I'm bestowing you a letter in your name, which brings you up to 248 because you now have been granted access. Now, let me explain. 243 limbs are limbs that a person has the capacity to control. You don't have the power to control 248 limbs because those 5 organs you can't control. What you see, what you hear, right? You can't control. It's not possible. You can catch yourself after the fact and try to retrace your steps. You could try that. But those are stronger than us. when God gave him the letter Hey, he was giving him the power to dominate over those two. Now, what does this mean? Okay, Richard is saying that the nose organ, there's a name for smelling. There's a fancy olfactory. Thank you. The olfactory sense cannot be controlled. Okay, you can control what you smell, but how does that affect you? I mean,
affect your emotions sometimes.
It does affect your emotions.
When you smell something,
Maybe psychedelic smells.
No, not
maybe.
necessarily. Just
memories.
exactly. You go out and
Right,
you smell
yeah,
flowers, and it brings your reaction.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Look, Richard, I'm not sure exactly how that manifests. We'll learn it inside, and as we read it inside, we'll try to understand it. Right? Interesting point. Many of us have Yiddish names, says Corey, which I assume are the same as they are in the Hebrew alphabet. That's correct. Okay, now we've learned in Tanya. I'm going to end with this point over here. That we've learned in Tanya that there are three kinds of Jews. There's the Rasha, the Beinoni, and the Tzaddik. The Rasha is the sinner, right? The sinner is the guy that just makes a lot of mistakes, some more, some less. Then there's the Beinoni. The Beinoni is the guy that never sins. We've learned this in Tanya. Just a quick review. Have you learned this in Tanya with me, no?
Not this specific, but
The Beinoni is the vigilante Jew. He's the one that is always careful not to sin in thought, speech, and in action. Right? He's careful not to sin in thought, speech, and action, constantly on vigil. Right? Now, the thing about the Beinoni is that he's got a battle raging within himself. There's a war going on inside of him. Yet he manages on a practical level to not sin.
Never sin.
Yeah. Comes the tzaddik. The tzaddik is the highest level. The tzaddik is the one that has actually conquered his inner battle. You know, we have two souls. We have an animal soul and a godly soul. We have an evil inclination and a good inclination. So there's a battle raging within every one of us if you're normal, right? Should I go to shul today or should I stay in bed? Should I donate this to charity or should I spend it on myself? Should I say something mean, nasty, juicy gossip, or should I curb my tongue, right? We have this battle raging within us, right? So the Beinoni is the one that has the battle, but he curbs it. He doesn't allow it to express itself. The tzaddik is the one that has conquered his evil inclination to the point that he doesn't have the inner struggle anymore. And that's the transition of what happened from Avram to Avraham. Avram worked on himself so hard. He was so devoted to God that he said, I'm going to serve God with every fiber of my being to the maximum of my capacity. And indeed, he succeeded in reaching the highest heights of a mortal human being of 243. When you reach that ceiling, we've learned this in Tanya, that you can't just become a tzaddik. You can't just become a person that has vanquished his evil inclination. That's an invitation only club. Only if God grants you access, then you can come in there, right? Like American Express Black, right? Have you received your invitation yet? You did?
I'm still waiting.
Me and you. Right, so you got to be invited. You got to be invited. You can't apply to American Express Black. You got to be invited. So to the Tzaddik Club, you got to be invited from above. You can't just knock on their door or something. You can't pull strings. So that's what happened with Avram. When Avram reaches the highest heights, the perfection of self mastery, that's when God says, "You're my man. I'm giving you the 5." And now we can appreciate why it is that someone who calls Avram, it's like going backwards. It's insulting. But Yaakov and Yisrael is a whole different kettle of fish. We'll carry that on Thursday. Any questions?
You said it's a sin to call Abraham Avram.
That's what it says in the Talmud, yeah.
Naming people Avram. That's not
I find that distasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why are you calling him Avram? Yeah.
I've heard it.
I have heard it, but I do find it distasteful.
You've been Avram here. Someone's been Avram too, right?
Did you say?
No,
Did you say your father's
Israel.
name is Avram or Avraham?
Avram.
Avram. Oh. Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. Abrom.
Oh, that's how he spells it. Avram.
Everyone called him Abi. But
I wonder what it says on his tombstone. Can you check?
Yeah, find out.
That could be very, very interesting.
Yeah. That's what I'm
It's
wondering.
very look. There's another guy I met recently here in town. His name is Avram. I mean, if it's a fait accompli ex post facto, okay, but a priori for us to do that, I personally, this is my personal feeling.
What about lack of education? I mean,
Yeah.
the person names Avram thinking in sense that he's
It's a
you
good
know,
name.
honoring, you know, not knowing the distinction between Abraham and Avram. So I think if people really fully understood the magnitude, as you were speaking about today,
Maybe then it
you'd
would-
have less
Yes,
Avrams in
right.
the world, you know.
Yeah, but then again, a lot of Avrahams have a nickname, which is like Avremi,
That's probably,
Avrumi, Avram,
Everyone call him Avi, no one call him
Avi. Yeah, a lot of Avrahams have these nicknames that kind of, you know, that extra hey is like it's an extra breath, Avraham. So it typically gets lost in the nickname. So yeah.
He did have a big dark side, so I feel
What's
Well,
interesting
well,
about
maybe he
that-
was a normal human being who struggled with his normal human imperfections, right? And maybe if his just one second, maybe his name was Avram, then maybe that might tell you more into his inner soul struggle, in a validating sense, not a critical sense. I'm sorry, what, Joe?
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. No.
What were you saying,
Please
Joe? I'm
say
sorry.
it. It's a brilliant. I think we, yeah. Go
What are you saying, Joe? Oh, come on, it was 10
he said
seconds ago.
Maybe he was named Avram because there was a predisposition to a hardship that the.
Oh, so that's what I was saying as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's exactly what I was saying as well.
Yeah,
that maybe there's a predisposition, a divine prophecy
he's gonna
of
go through a
unconsciousness
hardship.
that you're going to struggle.
And then the other thing is,
Yeah.
if you have a name, but you're being called or brought up and always called by
Some other name.
slightly different. I mean, you showed me with my mother-in-law's father, like for his name or what's on the tombstone. You know, it's a slight difference when they do that. I'm not sure, but I don't believe in those things are just major mistakes.
It's all for a reason. All right, lots to think about, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Chodesh Tov.
Now I'm assuming that